Hi guys, James at Rampant Lion Reviews again for you today with another beer review. For this one we are going to head over to America once again, and we're going to revisit a brewery who I only managed to try for the first time back in October or November of last year, if memory serves me correctly. And I really enjoyed the beer that I had from them, and we've got a different version of that particular beer to have a look at today. So for this one we are going to return to Wicked Weed Brewing, who are from Asheville in North Carolina, and we're going to have a go at another version of the Dark Age Imperial Stout. So this particular one is a bourbon barrel aged one yet again, and it is brewed with coffee this time. The coffee they've used in this beer is from the Mountain Air Roastery in Asheville in North Carolina as well, and I believe it's a variety called Black Balsam. But this particular beer comes in at 11.8%, and it should be really nice. It was rated with 99 overall on Rate Beer when I checked it out, and I think it was a 96 or something like that it had within the style. But I really enjoyed the last version of this beer I had. I think the last one that I had was just simply the bourbon barrel aged edition, so hopefully this one follows in the same light, and as always I hope you guys enjoy my take on this beer. So anyway, as is usual with my reviews then, I'll tell you a little bit about the brewery. If you want to get straight to the tasting, just fast forward. All the usual links are in the description below. That's the brewery website, the link to my other reviews that I've done from Wicked Weed before. Hopefully I can add some more in the fairly near future. There's all the usual social media. If you want to see more beer reviews, do please consider subscribing to the channel. The whole channel, of course, has a geography-based tagging system, so you can go into the homepage and search for beer based on country, city, state, county, prefecture, whatever it is you're interested in. Do check out the playlist of beers from different countries. There is one there for all the American beers that I've reviewed for you. That's constantly being added to, and as always, please do get in touch and let me know some of the other beers and breweries that you guys would like to see me review. It's always great to hear from you guys that are watching the videos, and the support that you show the channel is hugely appreciated. So anyway, to tell you a little bit about Wicked Weed Brewing then. So Wicked Weed was founded back in 2012 by Luke and Walt Dickinson, and also Ryan, Rick and Denise Guthey, who had all been lifelong friends. So Luke and Walt had originally talked about opening up their own brewery back in 2009, and over the following 2 years they drew up a business plan, and then in 2011, after tasting Luke and Walt's homebrews, the Guthey family joined the bandwagon basically and helped get the ball rolling. But they opened their brew pub in 2012 in Asheville on Biltmore Avenue in what was formerly a hardware shop, and in October of 2013 they opened their Funkatorium with the intention of producing sour beers and wild ales, and it was actually sour beers that these guys were known quite widely for, although they did have other styles in there as well. But they also opened a new 50-barrel brewing facility back in 2015, and then they added a larger sour beer facility in South Asheville later that year as well. And like I say, the sour beers were really where I heard of Wicked Weed. We get a lot of different American breweries over here in Europe now, and when it came to Wicked Weed it was sour beers that we always associated them with. But in 2017 the company actually became part of Anheuser-Busch, one of the big American macro beer companies, and they're now part of their high-end range of beers. But I do believe the beer is still actually brewed in Asheville in North Carolina. So yeah, they do seem to be giving the brewery a little bit of independence and things like that. It is always a controversial thing when one of the big companies comes in and takes over one of the little breweries. It seems to cause a lot of ruckus in the craft beer world, but you know, I just kind of I try and stay away from the drama and stuff like that. I just like to taste the different beers, and the last beer that I had from Wicked Weed was pretty good as well. But yeah, that's all you really need to know about the brewery just now. If you want to learn a little bit more, of course, you can check out the brewery website in the description below. You can follow them on Facebook and Untappd and things like that, and Instagram, and that'll help keep you up to date with all the latest goings on then. But let's get on to the actual tasting of this beer itself. So like I mentioned to you at the start of the video, this one is an 11.8% Imperial Stout. It's bourbon barrel aged, and it's also brewed with coffee. The particular coffee version is Black Balsam from Mountain Air Roasting, also in Asheville in North Carolina. This one has been imported into Sweden by Wicked Wines in Täby, just outside of Stockholm. But yeah, I'll just let you have a little look at the artwork on this one before you open it up. But yeah, nicely presented. There you can see at the top there is the Wicked Weed Brewing symbol. On the back here it says, Dark Aged Coffee Imperial Stout emerges from the whiskey barrel. Its dark malty complexity and smooth sweetness softened by its evolution in the oak with Black Balsam coffee from Mountain Air Roasting. A living testament to the marriage of method and mystery. So yeah, nicely presented. I don't know if they're using Viking imagery here with the raven, or if it's meant to be a crow. I'm not quite sure. I'm not up on my ornithology. I was an astrophysicist rather than that. But there you can see the Mountain Air symbol on this one, which is quite nice. And of course you can see Wicked Weed symbol on the bottle cap there too, which is nice. But yeah, let's get this guy out then, and we'll get on with the tasting. I'm really curious just to see how this turns out. So yeah, you can see a nice little bit of smoke in the opening, and I will say some of the sweetness from the coffee beans and this one is really just popping out of the bottle there. But yeah, that's very, very nice. Yeah, we should get it all in, why not? Look at that, lovely big head on this beer. You never want to waste anything. As a Scot, we're always kind of stingy. Don't waste any alcohol, especially when it's good beer. But yeah, look at this. We can get rid of the brewery notes now and focus on the tasting section of this beer. But yeah, as you can see, and as you would expect when it's a big Imperial Stout like that, you can see there's a solid finger of a frothy, I would say kind of mid-tan head on this one. It's a nice, almost like mocha colour, the head on this one. There's some nice fruity notes coming out of this actually, just as you move the beer around right enough. But if I hold this beer up to the light, it is actually pitch black. This is completely an ebony coloured beer, this one. There's not even a little ruby edge to it or anything like that, or a Coca-Cola edge. It really is just a straight ebony kind of rosewood colour, this one. There's nothing else coming out of this. But yeah, it looks very, very nice. One or two big bubbles sticking towards the side of the glass, and a few little ones just heading up towards the bottom of that head there. But you know, overall looks pretty nice, but nothing particularly surprising about this one when you consider that it is an Imperial Stout. So let's take a closer look at that aroma then and just see how we get on. Yeah. So yeah, lots of really nice coffee notes in this. Straight away you're going to pick that up. Now, I've been getting really, really into coffee stouts over the last, you know, year, 2 years. I really, really have enjoyed the different kind of coffee stouts that I've been having, particularly from Dugas Brewery here in Sweden, because they always experiment with different coffee beans and things, and it really can add a completely different level of complexity to some of these Imperial stouts. So if you do have any good coffee stout recommendations, do stick those in the description below. I always love trying different coffee stout beers. But for me, this one, you've got a lovely balance in the coffee bean of this. So the coffee bean itself, I think, has a good... It's actually quite a roasted one. I think it's a really well fired coffee bean actually, but it's got a little bit of earthiness in there, but it also has just a nice little bit of a floral quality as well. And at the same time, it's almost got like a slightly sharp citrusy quality to it, which is really interesting. Yeah, it's really, it really is interesting how that goes together. I mean, this beer really does lean towards the roasty coffee side of things. It is an Imperial coffee stout, so it kind of makes sense with that, stating the obvious. But it's really amazing just how kind of smooth it is. I really like that roasty but also quite floral edge that this coffee bean seems to have. And as I say, these different varieties of coffee beans and the way that you roast them and things like that, it can have a completely different effect on the beer. Coffee beans can also be, you know, be the same as hops. They're just so diverse. Depends what country you get them from, what variety of coffee bean, all of this kind of thing. It's a really a whole art on its own brewing these Imperial coffee stouts. With this beer though, underneath the coffee bean you can pick up some really nice dark high cocoa chocolate notes. This one you're talking an 80-90% cocoa. I think you can pick out a little bit of a milky chocolate in this one as well. There's not really any brown sugar to this beer, I don't think. Or if there is, it's been really well covered by the big presence that the coffee has. But yeah, it smells really nice. You can smell a little bit of the booze coming out of this one as well, which is interesting. You can smell that this is a big beast of a beer. A little bit of an earthy hop coming out of this one as well. Some nice juicy red fruity notes. It's got a little bit of a raisiny sharpness, a little bit of a figgy note to it as well, which is kind of interesting. Yeah, some nice sort of figgy and raisiny notes to the beer too. But yeah, you've got a lovely earthy quality to this beer also, which is really nice. You can pick up a little bit of earthiness from the hops, but I'm finding the more and more I smell this beer, the more the kind of chocolatey sweetness comes out. My nose seems to really adjust to the chocolatey side of this beer as well. You can also pick up a little bit of the kind of woody, oaky sort of notes to this beer as well. It's almost got a little touch just of a kind of vanilla note in there also. But yeah, as I always say, take a little bit of time and enjoy the aroma of the beer before you get stuck into it, because this one I have to say is pretty damn nice, and it's even got a little bit of an almost Viking imagery there. Just look at that. Lovely, love that. But yeah, a lovely looking beer this, a lovely smelling one. So without further ado, let's get stuck into this. This one is the Dark Age Bourbon Barley's Coffe edition of 2018 from Wicked Weed Brewing in Asheville in North Carolina. Let's get stuck into this one. Sláinte, skål. Ooh. Yeah. I'll say straight away, this beer gets a big kind of thumbs up from me. The first impression I have of this one is that it is ridiculously smooth. This is a very, very nice and very smooth beer, I have to say. Yeah, I remember saying with the other Dark Age that I had before, the thing that surprised me about that one was that it was a little bit lighter in the mouthfeel than I was expecting it would be. This one seems to be a little bit more thicker and a little bit more oily, I think, which is really nice. They've got the mouthfeel of this one perfect for me. I think that was my one little kind of teeny complaint about the original kind of Dark Age bourbon barrel aged one that I had, but I found that a little bit. I think that if you barrel age some of these Imperial stouts, it can just lighten up the mouthfeel a little bit, which is kind of interesting. It does smooth it out, but at the same time it just feels a little bit lighter. I was noticing that with another beer that I tried recently, but you won't see that video actually appearing for a little while. But this is a lovely, lovely beer, this one. If you get the chance to try this, I highly recommend that you do. It's one of the more subtle coffee stouts I've had, actually. I would definitely say that about this beer. Yeah. This is just really nice. So let's try and start off with this one then. Middle of the palate, you can feel there's a little bit of a roasty, toasty black malt just forming the base of this one. But the middle of your palate is ridiculously smooth in this one. The further you go into the aftertaste, you can feel a little bit of that roasty black malt just pushing its way out. On top of that, you start to get the kind of high percentage cocoa chocolates in there. It's got quite a nice dark cocoa chocolate in there, which I really, really quite like. And you can feel that there's a little bit of a slightly more milky chocolate to this one. If you come further towards the front of the palate, you get a little touch of that more milky chocolate kind of coming out of this beer. And there's also a little bit of a kind of woody element to it as well, which is quite nice. That'll be from the bourbon barrel age, and you can feel just a little bit towards the front of the palate that nice kind of oaky character in the beer as well. And it's almost got, there is a little touch with the oaky side of things. It's got a wee bit of vanilla to it, but not too much. But you've also got a nice little bit of the kind of brown sugars from the bourbon barrel aging as well. I really like how that goes together. Yeah, this is just a really nice beer, actually. I really like how this one goes together. Now, the thing that's quite surprising about this one, like I said, the coffee flavours in this one are a little bit more kind of subtle in comparison to some of the other ones that I've had. The coffee side of things with this beer, it just really rolls across the middle of the tongue. It's got a nice little bit of a smooth, earthy character to it. It's a little bit toasty, but nowhere near as well fired and as dark as I thought it was going to be from the aroma. It really does have just a very nice balanced quality to it, this beer. It's really well done. Like I said, it gets a big thumbs up from me. The coffee side of things, I can feel a little bit more of the kind of floral qualities coming out of the coffee the further you go into the aftertaste. The middle of your palate does dry out with this one a little bit. You get a little bit more of the kind of black malty and roasty side of the beer, which is quite nice. But yeah, I mean, this is just really pretty damn good, I have to say. I like this one. I'm more impressed with this one than I was the original bourbon barrel aged one. I thought the bourbon barrel aged one was a little bit light in its mouthfeel, but that said, bourbon barrel aging beers does tend to actually make the mouthfeel a little bit lighter. But I think the coffee beans in this one have really just thickened it up a little bit. But this beer, it's not the most complex Imperial Stout that I've come across. You can get ones that are ridiculously complex. And this one, the coffee bean gives it a really good bit of complexity, but otherwise I think it's actually quite you know, otherwise I think it's actually pretty pretty kind of straightforward, this one. I like how all these different flavours sort of blend together with this beer. Yeah, I really like this one. I certainly wouldn't hesitate to drink this again. I think I paid about 80 or 90 Swedish crowns for this beer, so it is a little bit pricey. But you know, you've got to treat yourself every so often, I would say. But yeah, I like how this one goes together, and if you get the chance to try this, just have a go at it. If you have the choice of the Coffe edition one over the regular bourbon barrel aged, I would recommend you do this, because it really just has a very well balanced flavour to it, this one. In terms of the hoppy side of the beer then, in the back corners of the palate you get a little touch of the earthiness in there. As you come further forward along the sides of the tongue, that earthiness, it becomes very smooth and just kind of rolls along the sides of your palate. In the front corner of the tongue you get a little bit of a floral aromaticity, then round the very front curve of the palate you get a nice lighter kind of grassiness in there as well, and behind the front curve of the palate, that's where you get that little oily bubble where some of the nice juicy fruity esters start to push their way out of the beer. And for me, this one's is quite nice. It doesn't really have a sharpness to the fruity side of things, actually. It's got a sort of figgy quality to it, but it's also got a little bit of an almost sultana kind of note to it, maybe a little bit of a datey flavour as well. It's interesting because right on the tip of the tongue I'm getting some nice roasty black malts and some of the coffee elements coming out of the beer as well. It's got a nice smoothness to it, the coffee side of this beer, which I mentioned earlier. But yeah, some juicy figgy notes, a little bit of a kind of candied red fruit. The further you go into the aftertaste, you get a little bit more of a sort of candied red fruity flavour out of this one, and you've got a nice raisiny and sort of sultana quality to this beer as well. But you know, overall it is really quite nice, and I certainly like how this beer's going together. So if you get the chance to try this one, I highly recommend that you have a go with this beer. I really like what they've managed to pull together with this one. So yeah, I do like that. In terms of the mouthfeel with this beer, I would say this is at the bottom end of full-bodied. Carbonation's very, very smooth. It's got a good balance between it's almost quite creamy, this beer, actually. I wouldn't be surprised if there's a bit of an oaty, a bit of an oatmeal base to this one as well, to balance the coffee, just with how smooth this beer is, actually. It does almost have a little touch of a kind of bready, oaty note to it, this beer. But yeah, lovely smoothness to the mouthfeel. Carbonation's very smooth and soft on this one. The malt base has a really good balance between the roastiness of the black malts, the sweetness of the chocolate, and also the kind of smoothness of the coffee. It's got three kind of different layers to it, actually. Hoppy side of things, very, very smooth. Again, I think you're looking at about 30 IBUs with this beer, if that. Is, I know, maybe that's a little bit too low, maybe about 40 or 50 IBUs. I think more leaning towards the 40 side of things. It's not going to blow your head off in terms of bitterness, this beer, I don't think. And you've also got just a nice little edge of a kind of juicy fruity character to the beer also. But yeah, to me, a really, really nice beer. This one, definitely one of the more subtle coffee stouts that I've had. The coffee isn't so pronounced in this one, but it just adds a kind of lovely smoothness and a little touch of complexity to this beer. But again, this is one of these Imperial stouts I'm finding that isn't overly complex. It's very kind of straight up, but it just does what it does really quite well, actually. So have a go at it for yourself and just see what you think with it. It's a really, really quite nicely done beer, this one. So yeah, let's leave it at that. This one was the Dark Age Bourbon Barrel Aged Coffee Edition of 2018 from Wicked Weed Brewing Company over in Asheville in North Carolina in the US. A really quite well-known beer city these days, and they're doing some really, really interesting stuff, actually. So if you get the chance to have a go at this beer, I highly recommend that you do. And this is one, I never actually said that, this was one of the beers that was released in the Små Partiers on the 5th of April 2019 through Systembolaget, so you should still be able to order a couple of these through the web shop, or indeed catch them up in the boutique stores in Gothenburg, Malmö and Stockholm. So yeah, have a go at this beer for yourself and just see what you think. But this is a really nice, quite subtle Imperial coffee stout, and a big thumbs up to Wicked Weed for pulling this one off. But yeah, once again, thank you for watching my beer reviews. Until the next time, please like, subscribe, share, all the usual YouTube stuff. Let me know your own thoughts on this beer in the comment section below. Let me know what your favourite beers are from Wicked Weed, and I'm sure we'll return to these guys in the fairly near future. Make sure you check out my social media, and I will catch you guys very soon. The Dark Age Bourbon Barrel Aged Coffe edition of 2018 from Wicked Weed Brewing in Asheville in North Carolina. Until the next time, slàinte just now, and I'll catch you guys later. Slàinte, skull.